Every vote counts. Your vote matters. Your vote is your voice. Vote for the right candidate.
The new minutes will be a game changer. Keep on watching.
Welcome to Washington America Show with international multimedia journalist, multidimensional, multifaceted artist and director of Human Rights Justice Council USA, Dr. Kashif Sohail.
Welcome to Washington America Show. Swing states can be won or lost by either candidate, unlike safe states. Candidates focus their campaigns in these states with constant advertising and visits. The result of election is decided principally in the swing states. A large number of states will almost always vote for the Democratic candidate, Massachusetts, New York, California and Illinois for example. Other states are nowadays Republican, Texas, Georgia, Kansas, and South Carolina. There are a number of swing states, such as Missouri, Ohio, and Florida, which will vote for the Democratic candidate in one election and the Republican one in the next. Missouri voted for the winner of every presidential election in the 20th century, except in 1956, and Ohio has now voted for the winner in the last 12 presidential elections. Swing voters are aligned and lack strong party identification, and their votes cannot be predicted or taken for granted. They are targeted in campaigns and can be crucial, especially in swing states. Approximately 30% of voters describe themselves as independent, although most lean towards one party or another.
Swing voters have no allegiance to any political party and are unpredictable, whose decisions can swing the outcome of the election. Elections are often said to be decided by so-called independent voters. For example, in 2008, swing voters made up 29% of the electorate and gave Barack Obama an 8 percentage point advantage. It was previously common for states to restrict voting by post to certain people, such as the over 65s, people who are ill, or those away from the state. But the practice is now widely permitted in a majority of states. In the 2016 election, nearly 1/4 of votes were cast by post. An estimated 80 million postal ballots will be cast in election 2020, more than double the number in 2016, as states aim to prevent gatherings to limit the spread of coronavirus. However, the U.S. Postal Service, which is responsible for delivering postal ballots, is undergoing budget cutbacks. There is concern over whether the service will be able to cope with the volume of ballots and that the delivery of many could be delayed. Postal Service warns of delays in mail-in vote count. Postal votes take longer to count once they have arrived. Different states have different rules over how and when they count them.
Most states will only include postal ballots received by the time polls close on Election Day. But some states like California will accept votes as long as they are sent by the day of the election, even if they arrive weeks later. Counting postal ballots takes longer because each vote must have a signature that is matched with a separate signature on a registration card. Some states like Florida will begin counting postal votes before Election Day, but most states do not start counting them until the polls have closed. In 2016, the final vote total took more than a month to count. Standing in a line at a polling station will still be the most common way American voters cast their ballots. But these voters could also face problems because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Some states have already begun in-person voting, and there have been reports of huge queues. The majority of people will vote on 3rd of November, and it is expected that fewer polling stations than usual will be open, and concerns have been raised about worker shortages. Familiar problems like faulty voting machines are also possible. There is a chance the early leader on election night may not win, a prospect made more likely by postal voting. This has happened before. In the 2000 election, Democrat Al Gore claimed his narrow margin of defeat in Florida should lead to a recount. It took 36 days in the Supreme Court to decide against a recount to settle the contest in favor of Republican George W. Bush.
Cast your vote. It's extremely important.
Yes, important.
Cast your vote. It's extremely important.
Yes, important. Cast your vote.
Cast your vote. It's extremely important.
Yes, important.
Cast your vote. It's extremely important.
Yes, important.
Cast your vote. It's extremely important.
Yes, important. Every vote counts. Your vote matters. Your vote is your voice. Vote for the right candidate.
Various legal challenges could emerge in 2020, including everything from the identification requirements for postal voting, to the legality of COVID-related changes to voting. The swing state could be won by either the Democratic or Republican presidential candidate by a swing in votes. These states are usually targeted by both major party campaigns, especially in competitive elections. The states that regularly lean to a single party are safe states, as it is generally assumed that one candidate has a base of support from which they can draw a sufficient share of the electorate without significant investment by their campaign. Colorado, Florida, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Wisconsin are perennial swing states that have regularly seen close contests over the last few presidential campaigns. While each major U.S. political party has many states it counts on winning in presidential election, a handful of states are too close to call. These swing states have populations that are closely divided politically. They have swung back and forth between Democratic and Republican candidates in recent years. They are important states that candidates will target with campaign visits. Cast your vote. It's extremely important.
Yes, important.
Cast your vote. It's extremely important.
Yes, important.
Some experts see Arizona, Florida, Michigan, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin as swing states. Others would add New Hampshire, North Carolina and others to the list. Americans don't vote directly for president in November, but rather choose members of the Electoral College who then meet in December and cast their votes based on how the majority of voters in their state voted the previous month.
The number of electors each state gets is based on population. Florida, with its large population, will determine 29 electoral votes. That ties with New York for the most after California and Texas. The presidential candidate who wins states like Florida has a better chance of winning the election, which requires 270 electoral votes. Florida is not to be ignored in the election. It swings between major parties. The state supported Democrat Obama in 2008 and Republican Bush in 2000, for instance. The fact that the winner in the Florida has won the presidency in every presidential race since 1964 lends it a special mystique. Florida voters get two chances to make their mark on the presidential race. First in March in the state primary, when they consider candidates competing for the party's nominations, and then in early November, when they choose from among the two major parties' nominated candidates and any independent candidate or candidates from other political parties that get listed on the ballot.
Cast your vote, it's extremely important. Cast your vote, it's extremely important. Hurry up.
This year, 2020, the main focus in the Florida primary is on the contested Democratic nomination. Under Florida's rules, only registered members of a party could vote on March 17. About 37% of Florida's electorate is Democratic, 35% is Republican and 27% don't belong to a party. Independents, who weren't able to vote in the March primary but will be a factor in November's general election, contribute to the volatility of Florida's voting behavior.
Florida is known for its elderly population. That's not a reflection of the electorate anymore. In fact, the youngest three generations amount to 54% of registered voters. Many of the state's younger voters are independents. Women will be a big factor in the general elections because they are a majority of the electorate, especially in the Democratic Party. Women make up 58% of Florida's Democrats, compared to men's 39%. Voters are diverse in other ways as well. The state has the registered winter residents who travel south each year from areas like the Midwest and Northeast. All that diversity means Florida will play a major role. The 6 states with most electors are California, 55, Texas, 38, New York, 29, Florida, 29, Illinois, 20, and Pennsylvania, 20. The D.C. and 7 least populous states, Alaska, Delaware, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Vermont, and Wyoming, have 3 electors each. A state's number of electors equals the number of representatives plus 2 electors for the senators the state has in Congress. The number of representatives is based on the respective populations, determined every 10 years by the United States. Swing states are the most critical states in 2020 election. They're essentially the tipping point of who's going to win the Electoral College, then win the presidency. With the increase in voting by mail, we likely won't know the results of the election on November 4th, which is why voter turnout is key. Cast your vote, it's extremely important. Cast your vote, it's extremely important.
Yes, important.
Cast your vote, it's extremely important. Cast your vote, it's extremely important.
Yes, important.
Cast your vote, it's extremely important. Cast your vote, it's extremely important.
Yes, important.
Cast your vote, it's extremely important. Cast your vote, it's extremely important.
Yes, important.
Cast your vote, it's extremely important.
Yes, important.
Cast your vote, it's extremely important. Cast your vote, it's extremely important.
Yes, important.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to click the link below in order to find out more.
Please share this video, subscribe to our channel.